Hey, what's up? This is Sifu Kuttel, and I'm back at you with another nunchuck combination. Now, this has a couple of elements in it that I'm just kind of combining into one tutorial because the combination itself is not that difficult, but we are going to break it down to a simplified version, like a more intermediate version, and then the full advanced version with all the spins and extra things in that. One thing I want you to notice is it's all about movement and positioning. So when we're moving here, we're going to be putting the nunchucks forward. So the idea here is this is your weapon. We're going to have this mostly forward while we're in attacking positions. And then in the end, in the defensive position, we'll switch back to having a guard hand forward. This is subject to the context that you're in, whatever the fight may be, if you're going to use this for that. Otherwise, just keep that in mind. It's all about positioning. And one of the interesting elements is we're going to focus on a turning motion. So it's very simple when you see it, when you do it, but just know that it's there. When we need to change from one direction in mid-movement to another direction, it's as simple as a propeller spin. So if you have any questions on any of these techniques, refer back to the nunchuck playlist and see if there's anything I have already explained before. Otherwise, make sure to drop a comment down below if you guys are unsure of any techniques, and I'll do my best to answer that, even if I have to make another video. So with all that said, let's go get to work. All right, so let's start actually a little bit more towards the middle of the entire combination, but this is a great way to get used to what we're doing here. So what I want to work on is just moving with bringing the nunchuck up and passing over the shoulder. This is a simple pass, and if you don't know this one, check out the video up here. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm going to pass it over my shoulder, and at the same time, I want to put this shoulder, or the side, that same side, I want to put that foot forward. So I'm going to step back as I pass, step back as I pass, step back as I pass. Now I can do the same thing moving forward. This is a great simple drill just to get comfortable with moving your feet and the nunchucks at the same time. Once you get that down, we're going to add a spin. Okay, so from here, I'm going to do a single propeller spin and then back. So spin, step, 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 spin, step. Nice and easy right there. Now it's time to add the direction change. This is really important in motion. It's not a very big deal when I isolate it. It's not a big thing when you look at it, but when you're working with the nunchucks, being able to move from facing this way instantly to this way, especially in the middle of movement, is super important because you don't want to try to have to stop yourself to turn if you have an opponent that does quickly move while you're stepping and then ends up completely on the other side of you, or if you have to deal with multiple opponents. This is also good for your forms, especially if you're doing like a freestyle, if you want to keep the motion going and continuous while you change directions and do something in a different direction. Okay, now we're going to start with a reverse flower spin. Now, if you don't know this one, check the video up here and then come back to this. Okay, so I'm going to do about 2 or 3 of these. 3 is nice because it gives me enough to start with and get comfortable into the movement, but you can do as many as you want. From here, as I bring it around, I'm going to do a propeller spin in the center. Now, if you want to just get comfortable with this motion at first, feel free. Do a couple of flowers and then propeller spin. But you should be able to pick this up quite fast. As I turn and do that propeller spin, I'm going to bring it up and behind my shoulder. Okay? So ideally, we're moving from this position, turning, and then we can end up in a position where we're ready to control the nunchucks and move into another striking technique. What we're going to do though is add what we worked on earlier. So from here, I can do 2 or 3. Propeller spin, and then step back. Propeller spin, step back, propeller spin, step back. Notice now my right side, my nunchuck side, the leg is in front. I'm ready to attack if I need to. Okay, so again, we have 1, 2, 3, propeller spin, step, propeller spin, step, propeller spin, step. All right, so now let's do some attacking movements. You gotta have some in there, otherwise it's not martial arts, okay? So let's do 3 moves. It's all about the number 3. We're going to use this back position here, and I'm going to use this as my starting point. Now it's pretty simple. We can break it down into horizontal and vertical. I'm going to go horizontal, horizontal, vertical to strike. Now in these strikes, you can change the direction and or the position, the height of it, or you can go for diagonals. For this one, I prefer to strike low, and then if you want, you can go up high towards the face, and then on the last one, straight up to come up underneath the chin. The last one, we're gonna aim for the face and underneath the chin here, unless they have their hand out and we wanna come up and hit that. So that's an option as well. But from this last position, we have our right foot forward, we have our right hand forward. I'm going to swing inward, low. I'm just gonna keep going across for now, low. And notice as I bring it out after it strikes, I let the momentum die off and I relax the arm, and then I'm gonna come up high. Now when I strike up high, I'm also setting up to grab again, but it's not necessary. You can just have your palm back here just in case you want to grab, and you can let it rest against the upper arm here, okay? So each time we do this, each time we strike, our opponent will probably be moving back, either because they're trying to get out of the way, or as you hit them, it's going to force them to tilt and lean and step back. So typically your opponent's moving back, we want to move forward. So we're going to step, drag the back foot, step, drag the back foot, step, drag the back foot for this. Okay? So again, we have low, low, high. All right? One more time facing this way, we have low, low, high. If I'm facing towards you from this position, a low, low, high. Okay? Now, from this last position, you don't want to hold on too tight because we're going to get into our next part. Now, after we finished a combination of striking, we want to make some distance between us and our opponent. This could be because maybe your opponent blocked and they're going to try to move in for a counterattack, or you hit them enough to where they've been able to start to recover and you don't want to leave yourself in a vulnerable position. Okay, so let's break this down into 3 variations. It's all about that number 3 today. So as I end up from this last position, I just struck upward. The most basic is shifting back. I don't need to do anything with my feet. I'm just going to swing and bring it back here. This may be, I just want to get back a little bit and I can counter. If my opponent is moving in, I can swing and hit and shift back here. Okay, getting myself out of the way while still having some reach here. The downside is this leg is still forward. If my opponent can read that, that's still an attackable target. All right. Now, what I can also do is step back to get out of the way. The footwork is simple. I'm going to cross in front, then step, and then same position here. Okay. So from here, I can take 2 steps and then back. Or if you want to cut that even shorter, I can just step in and then back here. Okay. Nothing huge on that one. We're just making lots of distance away from our opponent. Now, if we want to make this bigger, we want to travel more. And if you're using this for performance, you can do a spin over the head and then back down here. You could probably do it with that cross step back. But if you're going to do that, just take it the next step further. We're going to jump and spin. The footwork here is I'm going to step over, turn, and then back. So my body spins the whole time. I'm going to be traveling in the same direction as the nunchuck spinning over my head. So from here, I'm going to start the swing, jump, and then step and bring it back. Now we're not going to stay in this position for very long, so don't worry too much about it. You just want to use this as a stopping point because we're going to go to a more neutral position after this. Okay, so again from here, I'm going to step over the head and then back. This is a big swing, so you don't want to just make it this tiny little propeller over your head when you do it. Try to get some reach on this movement. This will open it up a lot more, and it'll be better for your performance aspect when you use this. In a fighting context, this would be to leave, okay? So you really don't need the spin here, and you don't even need to like the spin over the head. If you did want to get back, you'd want to keep your eyes on your opponent the whole time, so it'd be more of a jumping motion. But this could also be a turn into a runaway if you needed to, so there is a very small place for it, but it does exist, okay? Now, let's add the last little technique and then we'll put it all together. Now for this last part, we're going to end up in a neutral position. Now, it's a neutral position under the arm because we can do whatever kind of attack we want from here. I can strike if I want to, or I can do the straight out thrust if I want to. There's a lot more options and a lot more control from this position than if I'm just going to have the nunchuck out to the side or swinging. Okay, I don't have to try to catch the momentum and then control it to strike. I already have control of the weapon. Okay, now to get to that, it's we're going to do a little bit of a spin and we're going to step back. Okay, so from our last position, we're going to end up here. The ideal for this position is I'm going to end up with it underneath my arm. Now, of course, we're going to follow with the fancy hand press, you know, do the Bruce Lee style, you open up the hand, whatever you want. It is good to keep this hand out because this may be something where you're trying to control the weapon because your opponent may be moving in and you're trying to push them back to a distance where you can hit them, or you're just trying to let them know, hey, like, stay back. Okay, so from here, we're going to be moving downward diagonal. I'm going to bring it across from my left side to my right side, downward diagonal. Once I do that, I want to get my leg out of the way because my right foot is forward. I want to step back. Now, notice once it comes across the body, I'm going to do a quick flip over, and this is going to lead to underneath my armpit. Now, this actually goes pretty fast when it gets to underneath the armpit. So depending on how you move with this one, you may have to add the tap down, tap up, and then underneath the armpit. It's okay. It doesn't matter. It's all about timing on this one. If your nunchucks are very fast, it could be faster than your body, how you step, so you have to make adjustments that way. So again, right here, I'm going to flip and bring it underneath by going up, down, under. Press with the hand outward, and then I like to do a cat stance here, so the position ends up looking like this. Okay? Now, it's not always easy to remember this in the fly, so it's good to have a backup plan in case, instead of going downward here, you end up bringing it into an upward spin. When you do an upward spin, just let it rest behind the bicep, tap there, and then we're going to go back down. Okay, so you can go direct down, or you can do the propeller spin to move it down too. Okay, so again, from this position, I can come up, spin, tap, down, press. Okay, now if you have the time to do that, notice my hand always tends to go back here. This can be either if I decide to change it to a grab, or I can tap my own hand, or it can just be there to make sure that the nunchuck doesn't slip out from underneath while it bounces off my arm. It has something to bounce off of. Okay, so again, from this position, flip, catch, press. In the upward, up, down, and then press. And then that's going to be the completion of the technique. So now, let's put it together. Okay, it's time to put this together. All right, now remember, from the beginning, we're starting from a reverse flower, a reverse spin position. Now, as I'm looking this way, I'm going to decide to turn around and I'm going to catch. Okay, so let me start a little bit more over here. So again, we have 1, 2, 3, and then I decide to go back. 1, 2, 3, striking. 1, 2, 3, spinning back, and then return to that position. Now notice I step forward. I'm just worried about getting out of the frame. But again, from here, if you want, you can step back to this position. Okay, so again, we have that 1, 2, 3, stepping back. 1, 2, 3, striking forward. 1, 2, 3, spinning back. Here, stepping back, underneath the arm, pressing forward. Okay, nice and simple. Do this one, have some fun with it. Also, if you do enjoy this one, take a video of yourself, post it on social media, and tag me in it. I always love to see what you guys are capable of, and take it to the next level, all right? +1 on this, all right? Give me a new technique, throw a kick, do a different spin, do something else, make it even cooler than this, and be sure to tag me. I will share it if you allow me to. Otherwise, I'll be super stoked to see it. Okay, so there you have it. This is a great little combination that you can add to change directions. So earlier on in this nunchuck series, I taught a form where I had just the simple movements that we went over through the nunchuck playlist. And if you wanted to continue the form into facing a different direction, this is a great way to do that. And this is also so you can start to piece together some freestyle movements and work on direction changes, as well as some elements where you can move back, pause, and then go into the next movement itself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, if you have any questions, drop a comment down below. I'll answer them as best I can, and if I need to, I'll make another video if I need to put a more detailed explanation. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, you guys. I'll see you next time.
Bam.